On the fifth day of Christmas, my favorite author sent to me.
Widows finding love, a second chance romance, a royal love story, a swoony cowboy, and an enemies to lovers romance.
Oh, good job! You did it! Okay, so mine is super simple on this one. Since we're doing Widows Finding Love, I'm giving away my most iconic widow story, which is The Bequest. It's two widows, one of whom lives in New York City and is an influencer. One lives in Houston and is a lawyer. The influencer has two kids, the lawyer has four, so there's a lot of kids in the mix. There's six. And they both get a call from a lawyer because they were married to brothers, but of course they're widows, so the brothers have passed away. And the lawyer says that the brother's uncle has passed away and they've left them a massive cattle ranch in the middle of nowhere. And if they're willing to come work it for a year, their kids can inherit it. And both widows are like, oh, heck no. And then through a sequence of events, the kids convince them to go just for the summer. And so they both end up out there, and both of them are like, what are you here? I thought you said you weren't doing it. And the other one's like, I thought you said you weren't doing it. We're all in this tiny little, I mean, it's got a lot of bedrooms, but it's a farmhouse, and that's a lot of people. So they're all in the same farmhouse. So you've got like families that don't really get along forced together. You have widows that are not used to small towns. They don't know what to do with cows. They're having to learn to work a ranch. There's a bunch of kids that don't really know each other well that are all trying to figure it out. And you have some kids that are doing really well with the death of their dad, but they seem like they are. And then some kids that are not doing so well. And then they learn from each other. So it was a really fun one to write. And that book is completely free right now. So you can go download it and get started on that one. That's an easy one. And then Liz has one too.
I'm Elena for this one. I'm going to be doing my Paradise Plan. It's called The Paradise Plan. And it's the second book in my Hilton Head Island series that just came out last year and then this past summer. And in this book, I really kind of struggled over it because you see in book one, this woman's name is Cassandra. She is married, and you see her married to her husband, West. And then West dies at the end of that book. Or I think actually West dies at the beginning of the next book. And it's kind of taboo in romance to write a death or show a death. Typically, it happens off the page previous. And I didn't want to do that. I knew her husband had to die, which sounds terrible, but I knew her husband had to die because she needed to relocate from Texas to Hilton Head Island with the rest of her supper club. And anyway, in book one, she was planning a trip with her husband to he loved bird watching. They had a big place in Texas, and he watched a lot of birds. And she was planning a trip for them, and he died before that could happen. And then I advanced time, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years. She finally decides to go ahead and move to South Carolina, where one of her best friends has already moved to, and she meets the guy who's kind of fixing up this beach house that she's bought. And they decide, well, what actually happens is her best friend convinces her to take the bird watching trip, and he comes on the bird watching trip with them because he's friends with her best friend's now husband. It's a thing. You can read the books independently. They don't have to be read in order, but she's a widow, and it was an interesting ride. All of her children are adults. So young adults in college, moved out, all of that. And some of her kids are totally fine with her moving on and dating, and some of them are totally not. And so it was really interesting to write some of those different emotions and her own emotions over her husband, being gone for just a short amount of time, a couple of years, and her kind of moving on. I'm doing a giveaway with this, like I did yesterday with Second Chance Ranch. So this book is not free, but it's a giveaway. ebook giveaway. If you already have the book or you buy the book before the giveaway ends and you're drawn, you'll get your paperback upgrade, or you can have another ebook from my catalog.